Ellen DeGeneres has been someone that we've continuously been covering here in the channel, and a lot of people have wondered why she actually fled the United States. Inside of today's video, we have evidence that the real reason that she left actually had nothing to do with President Trump. We'll be listening in on what Joe Rogan thinks regarding this topic, as well as her long-lost good friend, Rosie O'Donnell, has quite a few things to talk about regarding Ellen herself. How deeply was Ellen DeGeneres involved in dirty Hollywood and even more closely connected to Jeffrey Epstein? We're gonna take a look at the clues inside of this video and put together some analysis towards the end. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Now let's dive into it.
Rosie O'Donnell just said something. Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen were best friends for years, with Ellen even coming out on her show back in 1996. But now they barely talk. Rosie is now pulling back the curtain on exactly what happened between her and Ellen and why she decided to step away from the public spotlight. The Ellen Show went on for more than 20 years, but Rosie was never invited. In May of 2022, Ellen's 20-year run came crashing down after Ellen got exposed for creating a toxic work environment and her employees. Ellen ended her show, and 2 months later, her ex-girlfriend, Anne Heche, ended up dying in a car crash. In December of that same year, Twitch also committed suicide.
Now, regarding both of those, I have a video that I put on the channel that shows the details of what happened to Twitch. And I also have a video out in the channel that talks about the passing of Ellen's girlfriend at the time, which was actually a massive conspiracy. Because inside of that video, we talk quite a bit about the discussion surrounding Ellen being a part of that passing and many deeper things that you actually wouldn't believe. If you want to go check out those videos, go do it. They're on the channel because they are quite interesting.
Ellen DeGeneres is speaking out about reports of workplace mistreatment in a letter to her staff. The talk show host shared her initial reaction to the allegations from current and former employees and revealed what actions are being taken to improve company culture. Ellen said she was disappointed to learn about the claims in a recent BuzzFeed article, citing the show's enormous growth over the years and her increased reliance on people to do their jobs as they knew I'd want them done. She went on to acknowledge that clearly some didn't.
It's understandable for me as a person to relate to the amount of stress that has to be on a television host over that long of a period of time that has that much success with the high level of guests that are continuously on the show. With that being said, no matter how high of level stress you do have from that position, that role that you play, it's never okay to mistreat the people that are helping support that show and build it up to be what it is to that day. And I think Ellen blurred the lines there a bit too often, and it came back to bite her in the butt.
I don't think you achieve anything by bullying people.
In a statement to ET, Warner Brothers, the studio behind Ellen's show, claims they have interviewed dozens of current and former employees in the wake of these allegations. They say that during their investigation, it was revealed that there were some deficiencies related to the show's day-to-day management. And that moving forward, the studio and Ellen are committed to creating a workplace based on respect and inclusion.
I stay grateful and I try to stay humble, and I think that I pay attention to what is important and what is real.
These misconduct allegations stem from a BuzzFeed article that was published last week, which included anonymous accounts from a dozen former and one current employee.
2 months after The Ellen Show ended, Stephen Twitch Boss, executive producer of The Ellen Show, committed suicide and left a note. Several investigative journalists have said that in this note, Stephen pointed at Ellen as being the cause of his death.
The question we have to ask ourselves is, what was Twitch involved with on the show? What was he seeing? What was the pressure that was on his shoulders that would lead him to something as extreme as it did? There were definitely a lot of things that he was put in front of. Even when we saw Diddy and Ellen together talking about things and Twitch making a face in the background, he knew what was going on. Whether he was involved or not, no one really knows. I would assume that he was more of a spectator, an overseer. He knew what was happening versus someone that actually engaged in any of that happening himself.
Some sources claim that Twitch saw something behind the scenes that he wasn't supposed to see, and that's what got him. Twitch's wife, Allison Holker, revealed that Twitch left her a note before his death. In this note, Twitch talked about the pressure Ellen was putting on him. Allegedly, Ellen wanted Twitch to help her clean her image and say that all the workplace allegations against her were false. Fans trusted Twitch, and Ellen wanted to take advantage of this trust. Twitch knew everything that was happening on The Ellen Show, and Ellen wanted to silence him.
Early on the morning of Tuesday, December 12, Twitch packed a small bag with only a change of clothes and his handgun, slipped out of his house without telling Allison, turned his phone to airplane mode so he couldn't be tracked, and took an Uber to the Oak Tree Inn, a dreary two-story motel in a hacienda-style building on heavily trafficked Ventura Boulevard, just a mile from his house, and paid $107 to reserve a room for a single night. Twitch made his way down to room 249 and let himself in. Allison reported to police that Twitch was missing shortly after he had left the house, noting with particular worry that she couldn't reach him by phone, and he had not taken his car with him when he left, two things that she said were very much out of character for him.
Because there were no details about Twitch's death, people just rushed to fill that void. This was at the time when Ellen had built this edifice as the nicest person on television. She would have YouTube stars, and all of a sudden that edifice was crumbling.
The news about Ellen created a wave of online criticism at the time, including some directed at Twitch.
As for exactly what can go on behind closed doors in Hollywood, Rosie O'Donnell once recounted a story about how Bill Cosby had been invited to her show and began to assume the producer's behavior was brushed under the rug because Hollywood is used to it.
Did you hear that? He started to do bad things to the producers of the show. We already know that Bill Cosby is not known for his clean behavior.
Abuse is rampant in Hollywood and at times even celebrated. Several child actors have claimed that they were taken advantage of when they first stepped into the industry. These actors were forced to be intimate with music executives and film directors. If you wanted a role, you had to show you were willing to do whatever the director or producer wanted you to do.
Yeah.
About Hollywood managers who manage kids, it's a racket, man.
Did you hear that kid from
they're
Strange?
Just grooming these kids, dude.
That
These
kid
grooming
from
them
Strange Things.
to suck dick.
Stranger Things. He just left his manager, and they're alleging sex abuse. They just left their agent. See if you can find that. Owen Benjamin,
the curly-haired kid. Oh,
yeah.
And he's
Owen
in
Benjamin just put it on his Instagram today because Owen has been taking a lot of heat online because he said that a 3-year-old kid shouldn't be fucking transgender, and people giving him a hard time saying he's a bigot. Like, are you out of your fucking mind? When
What's
you're
up with this transgender?
Stranger Things actor dropped agent because of accused of assault. Disney star follows suit.
They're accusing
it on?
people. It's for free, I think, on Vimeo.
Yeah, you
can watch it for free.
On
open
just
secret.
just on YouTube or something.
On Vimeo.
You know what Sturgill Simpson told me? He said the same thing exists in music.
What?
He said in music there's a bunch of pedos and pederasts
For sure.
in music as well.
The entertainment business all the way through. Music. This was about. This is about music and movies and TV. It's about the whole entertainment
so it's
business.
women and kids.
Mostly
get abused.
kids.
And
Mostly
sometimes
kids.
dudes. You know, Terry Crews said that he was attacked. Well, not attacked. Some dude grabbed his dick.
in front of his wife.
Some famous dude grabbed his.
I think that's a big part of this story here. They said women and children, and then that guest said mostly children. When I think back at all the children's shows that I used to watch back in the day, Disney, Nickelodeon, or whatever was on television, and then I look at what my children are watching right now, you have to sometimes wonder, what did the child stars on these shows, in these movies, or even the music we listen to, what did they have to endure to have those positions? These are some people that when they were children in shows when I was a kid that are now adults, and you wonder, why are they so strange? Why are these actors and actresses so weird? And not all of them are, of course, but it seems that it's coming out now that there's a big reason that they actually have for being that strange and that weird, because of the terrible things that they had to deal with while they were being grown up within the system.
Then there's the fact that Diddy was on Ellen's show 17 different times. And in her own words, Ellen said that she knew what Diddy was doing at his after parties. The timing of Ellen's fleeing the U.S. also lines up with Diddy's arrest. In 2024, a month after the FBI raided Diddy's Miami mansion, Ellen announced that she was leaving the U.S. forever and moved to the U.K. with her wife.
Is that going to be a new thing? Are you going to try to be early?
Yes, I'm trying to be early.
Are you going to be early for my party?
Yes, I am. No.
No.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right. Not too late, though.
Not too late?
Not too late, please.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But not too late. Because, you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you. I promise you I'm not going to let you down on this big one.
All right,
For
good.
real.
Good.
Your shoes, your feet are going to have blisters. You're going to be dancing so hard.
I can't wait.
Did you see how she was just holding Diddy's finger? Let me show you again.
Shoes, your feet are going to have blisters.
Right there. Is she telling him to slow down? You're saying too much? Is this just a friendship that's so close that they then kind of hold hands on the show? Definitely a strange engagement there that you don't see her doing with other guests, but her and Diddy definitely have a different type of relationship. I would guess that she was involved in things and knew what was going on at those parties.
You're going to be dancing so hard.
I can't wait.
Simply moving the UK isn't that suspicious, but the timing. The way Ellen completely changed her appearance, and how she stepped away from the public spotlight do make you think. To make matters even worse, Ellen recently announced that she's planning to come back. And believe it or not, this announcement came after Diddy filed for early release.
They're losing their minds.
She sounded so sincere, didn't she?
Very
she could
sincere.
Virtually choke on her words. But the best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia.
Bit of
Could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her. But she was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Well, this is why I say release the Diddy files.
Yeah.
Release the Diddy files. Come on, Donald Trump. We want to know whose name.
So maybe she's hightailing out of there before all that is thrown at her as well. But what a bunch of hypocrites.
Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, have reportedly fled the US, bound for the UK, after Donald Trump's landslide victory. Numerous publications are reporting the couple have left the United States permanently. There are also reports the couple have put their Montecito mansion on the market. Entertainment publication The Wrap has the exclusive story and said, Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market, and plan to never return to the United States, telling friends the election of Donald Trump was their primary motivation. Ellen DeGeneres has been a vocal Trump critic, so the move doesn't come as a surprise to most.
Now, we understand why she wouldn't side with Trump and believe in his beliefs. They have very different beliefs. And honestly, for her trying to escape the United States, for a lack of better words, what better excuse than Donald Trump is president? He doesn't believe what I believe. I am escaping his reign as president of the United States. It actually all fits together very well, but it is tied in with the same time that Diddy was being exposed, as well as the Epstein files dropping. So you have to wonder, is her leaving the US for England really because President Trump became president, or was there a lot more behind it? I think it was a little bit of all of those things.
Some critics have pointed out Ellen's suspicious behavior over the years, including her support for the use of human stem cells that are taken from babies. In an episode of her show, Ellen, she revealed that all celebrities use stem cells taken from young people to stay youthful. Reports online have also linked Ellen's changed appearance to her not receiving these treatments anymore after Diddy was arrested. In an episode with Sandra Bullock, Ellen and Sandra Bullock openly discussed her use of adrenochromes extracted from children and laughed about how it kept them young.
Okay, let's talk about this facial that you're obsessed with. How many, did you get the whole cast of Ocean's 8 to do this?
Not everybody.
Okay, good, smart ones.
Just those that I thought would appreciate it.
Okay, explain what it is.
Well, it's this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these, some of you, I think many of you know it, and it pushes through the skin and ruptures the collagen and then boosts it. You look like a burn victim for a day, but then it pushes the
What are you pushing into the skin, Sandra?
Sarah?
Carrie? What are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby.
Now, it's crazy to me that she actually wanted to share that on her show, right? I mean, it's clearly something that Sandra didn't want to speak openly about. She was uncomfortable sharing what was being done there. And I did find it strange that she said she would share it with people from the cast of the show that she was currently working on or the movie that would appreciate it. Does that mean other people that are in this network that would be doing that type of a thing? There's two ways of looking at this. One way is some people are just doing these facials to try and look young, and others look at it in a way that they're utilizing things from young people, and there's something wrong with that. I'm curious on how you guys feel.
Plus, who can forget Ellen's alleged connection to Epstein? Some fans believe that the set of Ellen's show was modeled after a temple on Epstein's island. While we're on the topic of weird things Ellen was caught doing, some sources online have even pointed to strange symbolism hidden in some of Ellen's videos. March 2020, right when COVID lockdowns began, Ellen DeGeneres made a bizarre video wearing a hoodie with a red bloody face, the same face that Jay-Z was later spotted wearing.
Symbolism will be their downfall. Or is it just art? And let me be the first to tell you, it's all connected. I mean, if you know, you know. But first, let's go back to that video of Ellen DeGeneres. When the camera turns, you can see the inside of her house. Now, see that picture right there? Well, if you pause it and look it up, it says evil thoughts with revenge right next to it. Here's another picture of Ellen in her house, and this is the picture behind her. Now, the thing I'm curious about is the letters on top of the picture. These look oddly similar to the letters Marina Abramovich writes out when she does spirit cooking. Remember the beginning of the video? It's all connected. And that person that was in all red is Lady Gaga, and she went to Marina Abramovich many times for teaching. But let's continue. This is another picture of Ellen in her home. She's cutting her mother's hair, but what is that picture above her head?
Look at it.
Oh, that's actually really interesting. Is it all connected even to the volleyball and Castaway? Crazy to think about it. But now let's talk about her set and Epstein Island and the similarities there.
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? The similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
But just look at the temple and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background. What?
Ellen's entire public image was carefully crafted, and once her fans found out what kind of person she actually was, she lost everything. Joe Rogan actually saw it coming years ago. He said that Ellen's personality always felt forced, like she was wearing a mask. Rosie O'Donnell was the first to say it. Ellen's nice guy act was bound to end badly.
It's so weird when you see, like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that's people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be a bitch, right? You're allowed to be a bitch. You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life, and it's like Abu Ghraib where they're hooked up to wires and they
Dogs
have like
around them.
Yeah, she's got dogs and hoods. If an intern's late, they have a hood on. I don't support that. That's just me.
Yeah, he's making a great point there that you don't need to be a nice person, but you need to not abuse people. If she wanted to be nasty person, just a mean person, that's fine, but you can't take it to the level of abusing the people that work for you.
Ellen isn't the only one in Hollywood pretending to be a completely different person.
Look who she's talking to right there. Harvey Weinstein. And look at all of the people surrounding. How many of these faces that you're looking at right now know what Harvey Weinstein has done?
On the surface, most celebrities will act like they're the nicest person in the world, but in reality, they don't respect you or think you're worthy of their attention. Joe Rogan said that Hollywood elites treat you like you're beneath them.
Yeah.
There's an arrogance that some stars had, like particularly in the 90s. When I first came to Hollywood, and this was like really evident for me because I was not a star, but I was on a television show. So I got to be around a lot of stars. And there was a way that some of them would treat you they would let you know that you are subhuman. You are below them. They would communicate with you in the most disrespectful and dismissive ways, like weird, like mousy guys that I could kill, like instantly, and they would just be rude to you in a really weird way because they had power. They had power, and then when an executive would come over, they would turn on the charm. They'd be smiling and laughing, and then you would talk to them at the craft service, and they would dismiss you in the shittiest ways. I encountered a bunch of that.
Yeah.
It was commonplace, and it was, I think, a thing that they aspired to.
And this really has to do with a level of arrogance, superiority that some stars will feel because they've made it, they've become very successful, they're known by many, they're rich, they get this arrogance to them, and they think that they are better than everyone else. This is why it's important that when we are raising our children and grandchildren of our own, that we're looking at them and teaching them to be humble, to be kind, no matter how high up in life they actually get themselves to at any point in time. It's important that they keep themselves leveled and are actually good people to others. Something I tell my kids, they're big into sports, they're both young, is play hard, be humble, and be kind. This is something that I've been drilling into their minds for years, and hopefully it sticks with them, and they'll be great people as well if they move on to have some serious, successful lives.
It was the same with Ellen. Once Ellen became famous, she pushed everyone away and did whatever it took to stay at the top. She didn't care what kind of people she had to associate with or what she had to do to her staff. In 2020, a BuzzFeed News investigation published testimonies from over a dozen former employees who worked for Ellen who described the workplace as toxic, reporting racism, fear, and intimidation from senior producers. One former employee described being told not to talk to Ellen directly. Others said they were fired after taking medical or bereavement leave. Rosie O'Donnell talked about how Ellen used to be her best friend, but she pushed her away as soon as her show took off.
I couldn't believe it.
Why did she say that?
I don't know, because I have photos of her holding my newborn babies. I knew her for 30 years. Like, I don't know, Rosie, we're not friends. It was so upsetting to me that I had T-shirts made. I don't know, Rosie, we're not friends. And I gave them out to my staff because it was very painful. And, you know, we've never sort of gotten over it.
Did she ever reach out to you to explain it or what her thinking was, or?
No.
I mean, I'm not the first person to say this, but she's a strange creature.
Well, you know, we're not similar. I can say that for sure. We're not emotionally similar.
No.
And I was never asked to go on her show. When I was, it was long after they had been on for many years, and she had the same staff as my show, the same producers.
Oh, wow.
The same everything. And now I don't blame her for doing that. I didn't create the genre of a Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas talk show. You know, this was what I grew up watching. But I did think that she was all of a sudden in the position I was in, where she was starting a show and wanted it to be successful and get the money and the accolades that came with it. And instead of deciding to stand next to me and hold my hand, which is what I did to her, she did the opposite. And I couldn't believe it. You know, I couldn't believe it.
And this is just a statement on people's character. You have people that will rise to fame and take their friends and family with them. And you have people that will rise to fame and leave everyone behind, making new friends, family, and just people that they engage with that are up there at the top.
By far the most shocking thing that Ellen is accused of being associated with is the death of Anne Heche. Anne Heche was Ellen's ex-girlfriend. And according to sources close to her, Anne Heche was working on a documentary that was going to expose Ellen. However, before any details could come out, Anne mysteriously died in a car crash 2 months after Twitch's death. The two people who knew the most about Ellen died within 2 months of each other, right after Ellen's show ended. This by itself doesn't prove any wrongdoing, but the circumstances of both deaths are highly suspicious.
Anne Heche gets in this accident, and I'm bereft. Now, how did I know her? She did my show twice, and she and Ellen came to my home in Miami and swam in my pool, and we had lunch once. So I knew her, you know, not really well, but in the celebrity vernacular, and that she was with Ellen for a while, and then how her career suffered, and her book, Call Me Crazy. There was a horribly, horribly tragic child abuse in that family, and
I've always sort of felt sorry for her. So when she's dying and when that all happens, I'm legitimately bereft in a way that maybe surprised me. I'd wake up in the morning and think, oh my God, something's wrong. Oh, Anne Heche is in a coma. Like, it was obsessive to me. So she died tragically.
In May 2002, the Ellen DeGeneres show was canceled, and then 2 months later, Anne Heche, Ellen's ex-girlfriend, was in a really bad car accident where she flew her Mini Cooper into someone's house and it caught fire. And what has never sat right with me is the cross comparison between the coroner's report and the actual aerial footage. The coroner's report says that she was unconscious until her death, after just from smoke inhalation and from being brain dead from the fumes in her brain. But if you look at the footage, she sits straight up, and that takes a conscious effort, I feel. But I'm not a scientist. I mean, I'm not a doctor. But the other thing is her other host, her co-host Twitch, died 4 months after that. And I just think that that's a suspicious amount of like close people around you dying in weird ways.
Did you see Anne Heche sit up before putting in the ambulance? This is something I did feature in that earlier video. That was something that was never mentioned. It's clearly in the aerial footage. She's being carted over. She's in a zipped up bag, and she literally sits up right before getting into the ambulance. No one ever speaks about that. That puts question in many people's minds.
No one can ever really know exactly what Ellen was involved with since both Twitch and Anne Heche died. But here's the thing. The rest of Hollywood is just as bad. Joe Rogan spoke out about allegations and patterns of abuse and predation in the entertainment industry and how common abuse can be among child actors and young performers. Almost a decade later, after the truth about Diddy and Harvey Weinstein came out, it was all proven to be true.
Don't let your kids be around weird agents and take them to auditions.
No, don't let your kids get into acting. Do not let your kids get into that.
Ever worked out? Well, you know, the other thing is, like, look at what happened with that Sandusky guy. That guy was taking care of kids. Like, his whole thing was like, hey, I do charitable work with children. You know, I do charitable work and I take care of these kids. Yeah, I'm just all about helping kids. It's all about helping kids. They're our future. If you're an actress and you worked with Harvey Weinstein, you never tried to get
hit on
yourself
you?
like, what is wrong with me?
Well, you ugly. Yeah, you ugly.
What is wrong with my face?
They're really going after him. That seems weird.
It doesn't seem weird, dude. Look at
Hell
all the
yeah, they're
people.
going after him.
That guy's entire business. Here's the thing. He's one of many. There's got to be like a bunch of people that ran their business that way.
But Weinstein, they say like in Hollywood, like my agent's like, oh no, yeah, it's about time he got caught. I'm like, what the f? Everyone knew this?
Dude,
like everyone knew.
Did you see his contract? It was in his contract.
Everyone knew.
The way he had his contract set up was like they had a certain amount of money that he would have to pay if he had a harassment claim against him. It was like...
It was a thing for him.
Yes. Like he had so many claims. That's like first offense was $100,000. Second offense was $250,000. Third offense was $750,000. Fourth offense was $1 million. He had it written into his contract with Miramax. His contract with the Weinstein Company. Like
he owned Miramax, right?
I don't know. Explain that contract. Like he'd have to pay $100,000.
Yes. They're protecting themselves.
Oh, when they sign
harassment.
When they sign him, they go, okay, the first time you one of these goods, it's going to be $100,000.
Yes.
Second time, it's 200.
It's not just. Yes, I mean it was.
That's
so
how big of a problem it was.
It was such a huge. It was so known of what he would do, and look, even Quentin Tarantino said that he did it to his ex-girlfriend.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Ellen DeGeneres, Harvey Weinstein, P. Diddy. There are so many others inside of this industry that were doing the exact same things, either running the system or engaging with the system. And the question is, who are the ones that were actually in these engaging environments? And who are the ones that steered clear away? Check out Pepper for the full video. And if you want to see more about Ellen DeGeneres, it's all covered right here in this one. I'll see you guys over there.